Hey everyone, Blizzard KB here, and these are the Cube4You Gigaminxes, the white and the black. I promised that I would make a new video of these puzzles once I added some longer screws to the puzzle. The initial problem I had is that the puzzle comes with screws that are short, and it makes the puzzle so tight it's almost unusable. In fact, in the last video I made, when I was just making some simple turns, the screw was tightened so tight into the puzzle, and the puzzle was so tight as a result that the screw came loose, and it blew a center cap right off of the puzzle. That's unusable. That's more than just tight. And so the solution that Cube4You has put up on their website is to get some longer screws. And so I ordered the longer screws. They came in. Let me show you the difference between the old screws and the new screws. I'll bring these up to the camera. This may go in and out of focus. In front is the old silver screws that come with the Gigaminx initially, and in the back are the gold longer screws. And you can see a little bit of a distance difference between the silver one in front and the longer gold ones in the back. It's going, like I said, in and out of focus. Let me move it around and see if I can get back in focus for a little bit. It may be a bit hard to tell, but if you can pause the video at a time when it's in focus, you'll be able to see that the actual springs themselves are the same length. It's just the screws themselves that are of a different length. Fortunately, it's not holding on to a focus. I'm going to move these out of the picture again. Okay, onto the puzzles themselves. The white one has the old screws, the black one has the new screws. First, the white one. It's pretty tight. It takes quite a bit of effort in order to turn this side, even for a dual layer turn. Now for a single layer turn, you can see that I'm turning it. It does still take quite a bit of effort, and you can see the inner layer making a partial turn every time I try and move a layer on the outer layer. That's actually going to happen no matter what. It's just the nature of these multi-level puzzles, these multi-layer puzzles. But what's unacceptable is the amount of effort that it takes just to make a single turn. This is more than just a little bit tight. Your hand would be aching if you actually try to solve on a puzzle this tight. And this puzzle has the old screws in it. Okay, this one now has the new screws in it. You can just pop the center caps. Yeah, trying to get my nail underneath this cap. I'm just going to leave it alone, see if there's one. Maybe this one. Okay, got the green cap off, and as you can see, you can see the gold screw inside. So I changed out all 12 screws, and this is how it turned out. As you can see, I'm actually putting in less effort than I was on the old Gigaminx screws, and I'm getting a lot more turning. Ooh, side came off there. That's with a double layer turn. Now with a single layer turn, it's actually moving okay. But there's once you loosen the puzzle, you get a problem, and you can see it over here, which is that pieces move around quite a bit especially if you don't have things lined up entirely correctly. I'm going to turn it back so it's back together again, but you have to be on the constant lookout for looseness and for potential pops. As you can see, a gap is already formed in this that makes it seem like the puzzle is almost going to fall apart. This gap isn't far enough that it's going to fall apart, but it's something that you have to constantly watch out for. As you can see, this piece is actually moved all the way out of position, and I have the puzzle loose enough that that can actually happen. So what I have to do is move this piece upward like this. Well, at least press it in. Let me say that. And then it goes back into position, and I can start turning again. But before I turn anything, I just make sure that I'm really lined up. And it can work out. Once I get this back into a solid position, I'm going to bring both of the Gigaminx into the picture, and then I'll talk about the problem. The main problem with this puzzle is not the screws, it is a structural problem. This is the first twisty puzzle I've had that has a genuinely bad design to it. All the other twisty puzzles, they may not turn great, but if you fix them by lubing them or by shaving off something, then it can work really well. This is a design problem. This inner layer is only connected to the puzzle by the pieces around it, either by the center or by the outer pieces. And because of that, you have to keep this puzzle tight in order to make sure that pieces don't come loose. That's a design problem that's been overcome by other designs, but Cube4You went with its own design, and it's not a good design. There's really no way to fix the problem that they have made. There's no way to shave it down, there's no way to lube it. You can make it a little bit better, but you're never going to fix it. That's a problem, especially with a puzzle of this size. That being said, I do appreciate the fact that Cube4You made this puzzle, because if they didn't make it, then most people wouldn't own it. I know I wouldn't be able to afford it, because this puzzle's, if it's handmade and custom, it's going to be several $100s. I'm not going to spend that much money on a puzzle just like this. This is much, much cheaper from Cube4You. So they took a design and they shaved it down to an extent that it can meet the price point that people are willing to pay. And so for that, I'm thankful. But the design that they did come up with is suboptimal, and it needs some more iterations. I doubt they'll change it at this point, because they're doing a pretty good business selling the ones that they have. But if they want to keep their business going forward, and keep goodwill towards people, then they would want to consider coming up with a new iteration of this puzzle. Like I said, the tourney is now to an extent with the longer screws that you could attempt to solve with this, but be aware that if you put in those longer screws, then you're going to have to be on the constant lookout for pops and for misaligned pieces, because if you misalign anything and then you start to turn it, you're going to hit on some major problems. You may get a popped piece, and if you're in the middle of an algorithm trying to get a piece into position, you may forget your place and then you have to start over again. That being said, it's nice to be able to hold a Gigaminx in your hands, and it's a very impressive looking puzzle. It's a big puzzle, and it looks a lot harder to solve than I bet it actually is. Even though I don't know how to solve it myself, I know I can learn to solve it eventually. In any case, I am Blizzard KB, and I'll bring the screws in as well. This is the old screw, this is the new screw. I am Blizzard KB, and this is a Gigaminx review of the black and white, showing how it turns with the old screws and with the new screws.